Most dangerous roads. North Yungas Road, Bolivia. The Yungas Road has been rightfully nicknamed Bolivia's Death Road since approximately 300 people lost their lives each year trying to cross its 69 kilometers from La Paz to Caraco. The reason for this lies in the extremely narrow track, which is only 3 meters wide. The high cliffs, the lack of barriers, as well as the terrible weather conditions, with fog and dust limiting the visibility and rain causing mudslides, waterfalls, and tumblings of rock. The large number of crosses and altars lined on its side will remind you just how dangerous your journey could really be. Although a new road was opened, death causes are still reported on this road, as it is widely used by cycling and biking enthusiasts who are fascinated by its danger and beauty at the same time. Rohtang Pass, India. This high mountain road is located on the eastern slopes of the Himalayas and lies under heavy layers of snow for over 5 months in the year. Each May, workers must use GPS to locate the road under the snow and clear it for traffic. The melting of the snow and the monsoon season leave it covered with lots of mud and slush. Despite all the efforts to ensure driver safety, the dreadful conditions of the road itself, the unpredictable snowstorms, avalanches, and massive landslides have caused the loss of countless lives. This is why the road got the name Rohtang, which means land of corpses. Fairy Meadows Road, Pakistan. The road starts high in the Himalayas near the Indus River and goes over 16 kilometers up all the way to Fairy Meadows. It's about 3,300 meters above sea level. This trail was built by local villagers hundreds of years ago and hasn't been repaired ever since. The first part of the bumpy gravel road is not wider than a standard Jeep, while the final section of the lane are so narrow that they can only be passed by foot or bicycle. Avalanches, heavy snowfalls, and ice patches can sometimes block sections of the road, which is why it remains closed during winter. But even in summer, you should be extremely cautious as the unstable surface, the drops of hundreds of meters, and the lack of barriers certainly put it on the list of the most dangerous roads in the world. Trampolin del Diablo, Colombia. The Devil's Trampoline, or Death's Trampoline, is the most famous dangerous road in the south of Colombia. It's a 70-kilometer-long, narrow gravel road that includes cliffs, precipices, and more than 100 hairpin turns. Located in the Andean mountain range, this track is under heavy mist and clouds, which lower the visibility, and it's in constant danger of avalanches and landslides. The road was built in the 1930s as a route for the soldiers in the war between Colombia and Peru, but it has continued to take lives even after the war was over. Hundreds of people have died in terrible collapses, the worst being that of 2011, when more than 500 lives were lost. So it's no wonder that this road is also known as Adios mi vida, or Goodbye my life. Kailar Kishtwar Road, India. This former mule track was turned into a narrow one-lane road that twists and turns along a cliffside. Its surface consists of stones, sand, and gravel, and it is in very bad shape, especially after rain when it gets muddy and slippery. The road is topped with overhanging cliffs, which block the view of oncoming traffic and leave barely enough room for cars to squeeze in. That's why it was nicknamed the Cliffhanger. The edge of the track is very loose and lacks barriers, so you need to stay in the center of the path if you don't want to end up falling hundreds of meters down to the valley. Be careful, as your journey will be a steep ride with a lack of oxygen and a constant danger of heavy snowfalls, avalanches, and landslides. Eyre Highway, Australia. This is one of the longest and loneliest roads in Australia, which connects the west and the south of the country. Being in the middle of nowhere with no hairpin turns or cliffs and drops on its sides, the highway with its 1,675 kilometers is so plain and boring that it can cause driver fatigue and thus lead to lots of accidents and fatalities. This is why there are several signs along the road to remind drivers to take a rest, but also to warn them of the only other danger they may encounter, and that is the wildlife. Extreme caution is needed, especially at dusk and dawn, as animals are trying to cross the road and can thus cause serious damage to the cars of drowsy drivers. Zoji Pass, India. Zoji La is one of the most famous mountain passes in India that links the majestic Ladakh and Kashmir. This strip of rock is 9 kilometers long and about 3,500 meters above sea level. Being located in the Himalayas, it experiences heavy snowfalls and high winds, which make it impassable during winter. But even when the weather is nice, those who come unprepared are still very much at risk since the uneven dirt road is very narrow, with steep drops on both sides and no barriers to protect you from falling into the abyss. This is why Zoji La is considered one of the most dangerous roads in the area. So don't be surprised at the frequent closures during bad weather. Passage des Gaues, France. This is a natural passage that links the island of Noirmoutier to France's mainland. What makes this road unique and dangerous is the fact that it gets flooded twice a day. The road is accessible only for an hour and a half before and after the lowest tide. At high tide, it gets covered with up to 4 meters of seawater. When the water retrieves, lots of seaweed remains on the surface, making it quite slippery. You need to drive slowly and avoid sudden braking if you want to stay on the road, especially in cases of dense fog, which is quite common for this area. Atlantic Ocean Road, Norway. This 891 meters long road is located on the Norwegian coastline. It's built on several small islands and includes 8 bridges that twist and turn over the Norwegian Sea. The road itself is not in bad shape, although it has lots of ups and downs that give you a roller coaster-like feel when you drive it. Its worst enemy, however, are the harsh weather conditions. This area suffers from unpredictable snowstorms and blizzards, sudden temperature drops, as well as high winds, which often reach up to 50 kilometers per hour. All of this combined with the brutal waves crashing over the asphalt can lead to a disaster if you're not extremely careful. Abano Pass, Georgia. The Abano Pass is located in the heart of the Caucasus Mountains, at approximately 2,850 meters above sea level, and is one of the highest mountain roads in Europe. It will take you around 12 hours to drive its winding 84 kilometers, from Kakheti in the south to Tusheti in the north. The road is open only from May to October, but even then, heavy storms, avalanches, and ice patches on the surface can lead to frequent closures. Be prepared to get stuck on the road if you are caught by a storm, since driving along the uneven, muddy, and foggy track with your wheels virtually hanging over a precipice will be impossible. Your journey can be continued in a couple of days' time once the surface dries out. Guoliang Tunnel, China. This famous tunnel was carved through and along the side of the Taihang Mountains by 13 villagers of Guoliang. Being no experts, they used the route with least resistance to build the road. The tunnel curves and bends, drops and arches at unpredictable places, and is barely wide enough for 2 cars. Its wall consists of over 30 windows of various shapes and sizes, allowing light to get into its dark inside. This tunnel is one of the steepest tunnels in the world and is especially dangerous in wet weather due to its slippery surface. Most of the accidents that occur are a result of the driver's own negligence and underestimation of its difficulty. Skipper's Canyon Road, New Zealand. The construction of this canyon road was considered an engineering miracle back in the late 1800s, as it took almost 22 years for Chinese miners to carve out the solid rock using only black gunpowder and hand drills. This road is unpaved and so narrow that at most points it's impossible for 2 cars to pass each other. Instead, one will have to reverse up to 3 kilometers to find a place wide enough for both vehicles. That is not an easy task as the track is full of twists and turns, bordered with rock walls on one side and sheer drops on the other. Moreover, the local rock is very soft, and it easily turns into dust or mud depending on the weather, which makes things even worse. It's no wonder to hear that this road is not covered by rental car insurance. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. Here are some other videos I think you may find interesting to watch.